Hello and welcome. This Haitian-born musician grew up on the streets of New York before taking the world by storm with his eclectic music. Known for collaborating with top international artists, he's helped hip-hop absorb musicians from a variety of backgrounds and styles. This week on One on One, meet the remarkable singer, musician and producer Wyclef Jean.
I met her in Haiti, we moved to Brooklyn.
Born in a hut and riding to school on a donkey, he was only 9 when his family moved from Haiti to a tough ghetto in Brooklyn, New York. It was a quick indoctrination into the dangers of the city streets, and Wyclef describes the culture of hip-hop as the way he survived. He studied jazz in high school, forming a group in 1987 with his cousin Praz and his friend Lauryn Hill. That band, Translator Crew, went on to become the phenomenally successful Fugees, a name taken from the slang for refugees. By 1997, Wyclef Jean was striking out on a solo career with Wyclef Presents the Carnival featuring the Refugee All-Stars, which earned him a Grammy nomination for the single Gone Till November. By 2000, he had his own record label, Wyclef, and 5 years later founded Yele Haiti, an organization to promote music, sports and media as a way to bring jobs and development to his struggling homeland. In 2006, he was appointed as a roving ambassador for Haiti by its president. Wyclef, great to talk with you.
Yes, great to be back.
Now, there's so many different ways you're described. You know, a rapper, hip-hop, guitarist, even renegade. How do you describe yourself?
Renegade? No, just kidding. I just describe myself, a man, and, a man has all different fascinations to him. I think it's always boring when you're one thing. I think great things is that we are all things,
Now, you certainly keep yourself busy on the music front, albums coming out left, right and center, producing people. But what takes up most of your time now? Is it the music or is it more of the activism and social work that you do as well?
A combination of both, the production and the fact keeping it social and make sure that the issues is out there, keeping everything relevant.
Now, in terms of your audience, who do you see as your audience? Who are you writing music for?
I write my music for the generation. And when I say the generation, it means the generation of today. And, like when Bob Marley wrote for the generation of today, it's still the same generation, which means that if you try to put the music for one particular generation, then you've lost. But if you write the music for the generation of today, that means it's like a 4-year-old can hear it and a 60-year-old can hear it. It's timely.
Now that must explain the collaborations, because you have everyone from Tom Jones to Shakira on your music.
Yeah, I've worked with everybody from Tom Jones to Shakira. Yeah.
I mean, how do you rationalize the difference in styles? Tom Jones is so different from Santana or Shakira or T.I.
Well, Tom Jones is the only one that could tell me good Elvis stories, you know what I'm saying? And that's kind of cool. T.I. is more, with the Atlanta vibe. Shakira got the Colombian thing. I think as a producer, it's always a dream come true when you work with a diverse artist. You don't get bored because it always feels fresh and new.
Well, let's look at your roots, where you come from. Now, I gather you were named, Wyclef Jean came from, your father named you after John Wyclef, the 14th century British theologian who actually translated, or was credited with translating the Bible into English first.
Yes, and then after that he was killed, executed. You didn't get to that part. Finish the story.
I wish you a longer life than him, but why do you judge?
Me too, please. I don't need the English people killing me. I am not him.
Why do your dad choose that particular name?
My dad chose that name because, he was into theology a lot, and he believed that it was important that great words get translated into a language so that everybody can understand it. So his whole thing was that he felt one day that I would have words that would translate into languages that everybody can understand it. But he thought that would be me being a preacher, not being a rapper.
I know your father's passed away, God rest his soul, but how did he influence you? How much of an influence was he in your early childhood?
My dad was a major influence because with his immigrant background, you know, I used to see my dad come home, hands freezing, working in the cold, and he always held his dignity, always walked with his head up, shoulders up, and he never let no man talk down to him, say, ah, you an immigrant, get out, you know what I mean? He always, you know, spoke proud of the land and where he came from. And even when we was cleaning bathrooms, you know what I'm saying? I remember one time, you know, he wake us up, we gotta go clean some bathrooms with my father in a restaurant called a Ramada, you know what I mean? We get in the bathroom, we in the toilet, and one of the toilets, you know what I mean, the freaking bathroom's all messed up, and I just got a mad face, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, I ain't gonna do this, you know what I mean? And he just looks at me, he says, take the plunger and pump it with pride. I was like, you know, but you know what he basically was saying is whatever you do, do it with pride because you're doing it honestly, you know.
What about your mother? What sort of influence was she? I gathered she was quite a strict character, was she?
Yeah, my mother was a dictator, you know. You know, but she grew out of it, you know what I'm saying? But my mother is not even 5 feet, you know what I mean? But she would speak, it would terrorize us, you know. She'd come inside. Um, but she got me my guitar, and she basically, you know, like, I'm sure you hear how these West Indian parents are, you know what I'm saying? It's like, boy, you know, when they get upset at you, man, whatever they got, that's what's coming at you. If they got shoe, the shoe come out flying. Um, but you know what? My mother raised us like, okay, Wyclef is the oldest. He's entitled to discipline everybody else. Then the next one is entitled to discipline, but you can never talk back to Wyclef. Then the third one. So it was still, you know, a sense of respect, which is missing today in families, you know, that they don't raise the kids like that no more.
What do you think in their sort of individual characters has stuck with you? What do you think they've given you in terms of characteristics?
I think, you know, my father, you know, you always see me smiling, you know what I'm saying? I think my dad had a certain charm about him, and he had a strictness, you know, and I think my mother have a discipline about her, but at the same time, she's very witty, you know, and I think that's what I
You
get
got the
from
humor
her.
and the
Yeah.
Well, you're about 9, 10 years old when you were brought over to the U.S. from your home in Haiti.
Yes.
Your father came over first, actually, didn't he? And then he called you guys over.
Yeah, my father came illegally, and he left me when I was 1. So I never knew who my father was till I turned like 10 years old. Um, he left us in the village, and you know, when the holidays come, they always like, okay, your father has sent a bicycle for you. I'm like, okay, whatever. You know, the myth of Santa Claus, you know what I'm saying? But finally, he did come and get us, and brought us back to America.
Now, you're about 9, 10 years old when your father brought you over to the U.S. You were basically transplanted from your home in Croix des Bouquets in Haiti to Brooklyn, New York. A huge change. What were your earlier memories of Haiti? What do you remember from that time before you moved to the U.S.?
I mean, I remember everything clearly. You know, I was in a small village, no electricity, and used to go to school on a donkey. It was 5 miles to get to school. And when it rained, sometimes you couldn't take the donkey, so you had to walk. There wasn't a lot of food, you know, during the week, but on the weekends, it was like, you know, these big festive, you know, they would, you know, kill the goats and everything in the back. And I just remember not having money, but being happy. There was no shower in the house. It wasn't even a house. It was a small hut, and it was no. It was a small hut, and being in the hut, you know, you have to imagine, you know, what kind of hut. Like, it's a very small place, and it has to fit like 4 or 5 people, and now it's got bricks on it. But imagine before the bricks, and imagine sometimes when it rained, what would happen to you if you were sleeping on the floor. So, but at the same time, I was happy, and it was a certain joy about it.
What about the contrast when you came here? What were the first things you remember about being in New York?
Well, when I first came to New York, I thought I was rich because I came from a hut, no electricity, no nothing. And then we get to the projects, but the house have bricks. It looked like a tall building. So I told my brother, I said, we rich, we in America now, we rich. And what really made me think we was rich was one day, me and my brother, we in the house and we chilling, And this guy comes and he knocks on the door and he opens the door, and it's a white man. And I ain't never see a white man before. Like, you know, when they came to the village, they would do their little work and leave. So I never seen a white man actually bringing me something. So he opened the door, and the white man gave my father a block of cheese, yellow cheese. And I looked at my brother. I said, "Look, we rich, man. The white man is serving us. We made it." But later I came to find out that's just government cheese, what they give people on welfare. You know what I'm saying?
So now it was around that time when you were 9, 10 years old, you first picked up the guitar and started playing, but I gather you actually started drumming around the age of 2 and some sticks got into your hands.
Yeah, sticks was in my hand from the age of 2. The guitar I actually picked up when I got to New York. But before then, it was all carnival style. Started with sticks, then I started playing the tambours and then the drums. And then when I got into the States, all the other instruments.
So when you got that guitar and you started playing when you were in New York, who were your earliest music influences?
Basically, I was in the church. So it was like I was just playing church music, But, the biggest influence at the time that I would sneak and be able to listen to was Bob Marley. So I would say like Bob Marley music paved a lot of the way for me.
But you've got quite eclectic taste, I mean, from Pink Floyd on, haven't you?
Yeah, the eclectic taste comes from my parents were so strict in their religion where you was not allowed to listen to no other kind of music. So what we ended up doing was, because they were evangelists, they could travel all over the world. And when they would travel to different places, there was a band called Petra, Amy Grant. These were Christian bands, they sound a certain way, but they couldn't speak English very well. So that was to my brother's advantage. So we was able to get away with like Pink Floyd, Wish You Was Here, The Gambler, Kenny Rogers. We would be doing cover songs of these in the church and putting Jesus' name to it.
And you've even performed with Kenny Rogers, you worked with him.
Yes, love Kenny Rogers. Kenny Rogers, renegade, you know what I mean?
It's not how most people imagine him, by the way.
He got all those horses, you know what I'm saying? He's the man.
We're going to pause for a break here. We'll be back with Wyclef Jean in just a moment.